Okay, so here's some tips and tricks for how to do flex periods or before or after school time on the lab. The first thing you want to be aware of is that you don't want to load up a specific seating chart because no one's going to be sitting where they normally sit. You're going to have names on audio files that have nothing to do with you. So what you want to do is just do a generic clear class, and then you've got your A's and B's and C's, and you know where they were sitting. And if they're going to record, you should have them say their name before so that you have that. The number of students doing something at a given time will dictate how you do that, if you actually go in, manually name the students just for that period or not. The other thing is to have sort of a default. Just say, well, in row F, that's where I generally sit my AP students. So I've loaded up all my AP stuff on the blue channel on player 1. I'll just set that as a default. Anyone who I send to row F will be in AP. And maybe if I have more kids in AP, I'll have them go to the very front. And that way I have less of an issue with them hearing each other. So I'm just going to start filling this in by going row F. Let's go 1, 3, and 5. And if those fill up, then I'm going to send them over here to A, 1, 3, and 5. If those fill up, I might consider something else. So let's say I've got a practice test for the AP going on those students. Well, here's a trick. Record everyone the whole period. That way, you'll end up with a bunch of unnecessary recordings, but you will always record everything that happened during that time. So you won't have a kid who grabbed the wrong headset, who did his whole practice test but didn't get recorded. You don't want to worry about that. It's worth having extra audios that you can just delete later to avoid that issue. Then let's say you have, I don't know, 3 DLI. And there's just this test that they took or a benchmark, and you load that onto here. Well, because you're recording and because you're going to record the whole period, you're going to capture whatever happens there. It's going to be cumbersome. You're going to have big, long audios that you don't necessarily need. But again, you're never going to lose something. If a kid comes in and did the work, it'll show up in your audio. You're just going to have to track it down. Those are some best practices. The other thing is you do want to stagger their seating. So like you can see, I've got them in different rows. And you're going to want to give them a physical timer. If you have tablets, I like to use tablets. But if you have any kind of like teacher timers or whatever, they're going to have, you have 40 minutes to write the following essay. So what you do is you just drop the timer on their desk. And then they're working, they're listening to the audio. And when they're done, it's going to beep, and that'll give you the idea of where you should be when. In this way, I was able to do very large flex periods. Let's say on average, I would have more than the 36 kids in the room, but I was able to do multiple AP tests at the same time, not tests, but practice tests, and manage it without too much of an issue. You just really need to rely heavily on the technology to take the brunt of the work, record everything, and have some generalized idea of what you're going to do before you're going to do it. So you could see I have 3 separate audio channels. I know where those kids are sitting, and I've done that intentionally.